Hello, my dear children. How are you all? Oh, a warm welcome to all of you today's English class. Are you all waiting for me? Oh, yes. Thank you, dear children. Before going into today's session, shall we recall the chapter? Are you all ready for that? Okay, then listen to me. The Tale of Peter Rabbit, written by Helen Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother underneath the root of a large fire tree. One day, Mrs. Rabbit told to the little bunnies, "You may go into the fields or down the lanes, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden, because your father had an accident there. So don't go, Mr. Gregor garden." Then our Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail were good bunnies. They went down the lane and to gather blackberries. At that time, our little Peter ran straight to Mr. McGregor's garden. And he started to eat some lettuces, some French beans, and some radishes. After some time, he went to look for some parsley. At that time, Mr. McGregor was on his knees planting cabbages. Mr. Gregor jumped and ran after Peter, calling out, "Stop thief! Stop thief!" Peter was scared. He ran all over the garden because he forgotten the way back to the gate. And he began to run on 4 legs, but unfortunately he ran into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large brass buttons on his jacket. Actually, that was his new jacket. But after some time, Mr. McGregor came with a sieve and tried to put it on top of Peter. But Peter tried to escape from the net, and he moved out from the net. And he jumped into a water can. At that time, Gregor was searching for him. He was sure that Peter was somewhere there. Dear children, there we were stopped in the last class. Am I right? Yes. So, shall we continue with our rest of the chapter? Are you all ready for that? Yes. Then here we go. Okay, children, everybody take your textbook and listen carefully. Mr. McGregor was quite sure Peter was somewhere there. He looked carefully. Suddenly, Peter sneezed. Kerishoo! Mr. McGregor was after him instantly. Peter jumped out of a window. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Dear children, our Peter sneezed. Sneezed, kerishoo. Kerishoo means the sound of a sneeze. Sneeze means he make one noise. Mr. McGregor was ran after him, and our Peter jumped out of a window. But the window was too small, so Mr. McGregor can't jump out of the window. And Gregor was too tired of running after Peter, so Gregor went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He panted and trembled with fright. He did not know which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. After some time, he began to wonder about, looking all around. A mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas for her family. Peter asked her the way to the gate. She had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. So sad, our Peter don't know which way to go. He was started slightly wet because he was sitting in that can. After some time, our Peter started to wandering for the way to go out. At that time, a mouse was running with carrying a piece for her family. Peter asked the mouse the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth, so she could not answer. She only shook her head. Poor Peter started crying. Peter now heard the noise of her. Scratch, scritch, scratch. Peter darted underneath the bushes. When nothing happened, he came out, climbed upon a wheelbarrow, and peeped over the edge. He saw Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter sneaked out of the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him. Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and started running. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fire tree. Suddenly, our naughty Peter heard one sound of a how. Peter ran through the bushes as to that sound. Wow, dear children, he climbed upon a wheelbarrow. There he saw McGregor hoeing onions. And after, our Peter moved out quickly from the wheelbarrow and started running as far as he could go. And dear children, Peter never stopped running till he got home. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the soft floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother later wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second jacket and the pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. Oh, he fell down there because he was too tired, and his mother was wondered why, because again he lost his jacket and his shoes that Peter had lost within 14 days. Fortnight means 14 days or 2 weeks. Dear children, that's all for today. I hope you all understood about the story. Actually, this is very good story and we got a wonderful moral from this story. Before that, let me ask you one thing. Do you think Peter will ever go back to Mr. McGregor garden? Yes, of course, never. Now he understood his mistake. If our Peter obeyed his mother's instruction, he could not face such a situation. So, dear children, the moral of this story is, rules are made by those who love us to help and protect us. We must always follow them. Now take your notebook and start writing new words and meanings. Don't forget to write in cursive and write neatly. Fifth one, carry shoe, the sound of a sneeze. Sixth one, trembled, fear. Seventh one, panted, quick breath. Eighth one, hoeing, dig up plants with using a sharp blade. Take page number 16. There you can see the section of comprehension and 5 questions are there. I will send the answer through your WhatsApp group. Write neatly into your notebook. Dear children, here is your video lesson. Let's watch.
Mopsy, don't push so. Anyway, Mama said I could carry a basket. Mama, she pulled my ears.
Come, that will do. Now, my dears, you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there.
He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor.
He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I'm going out.
Peter, come along, Peter.
Not likely.
Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker.
Now then, a loaf of brown bread and let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 currant buns.
Psst, Benjamin! Peter! I'll try and meet you tomorrow, under the big fir tree.
Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate.
Mama will never find out. And in any case, I'm quite sure I can outrun Mr. McGregor. Yum, yum.
Having a good time, are we?
Radishes, my favourite. Gosh. I can't wait to tell Benjamin. Oh dear.
Feeling funny, are we?
Still, I'd better not leave that one on its own. Someone might notice it.
Wouldn't have a tummy ache, would we?
I do feel rather sick.
Faster than Mr. McGregor, are we?
Definitely something wrong with that one. I'd best find a little bit of parsley. Mr. McGregor!
Stop, thief! Come back here, you wee pest!
Oh no! I'll end up like Papa!
Where's that wee varmint? Gotcha, you wee...
Help!
Stop, thief! Oh! Come back! Wait till I get up.
Oh no! There goes my other shoe! Goodness, where am I now? Must get out. Must get out. Is it this way? No. Oh, I don't know. Perhaps it's this way. Or is it this way? No, this way.
Don't just lie there, Peter. Come on, keep on trying.
Before Mr. McGregor comes.
Quick, Mr. McGregor. Mr. McGregor's coming.
It's no use. My brass buttons are all caught up. Mrs. McGregor will put me in a pie.
I know that rabbit's here somewhere. And I'll find a nail to it with that. Come on and show yourself, you wee beastie. I know fine you're here. Stop! Stop, thief!
If you please, ma'am, could you tell me the way to the gate? Oh, please help me. But which way? Goodness. I must be quiet. Cousin Benjamin warned me about cats. The gate! I can see the gate!
Stop! Get back here, you wee beast! Stop, thief!
Ah! The gate! The gate! Oh no! My coat! My shoes! Oh golly! Mama will be furious! What shall I tell her? I daren't go back in there. Mr. McGregor is sure to be waiting for me. And I'm late for supper.
Peter, late again. Where have you been? Not in Mr. McGregor's garden again, I hope. And where are your clothes? I suppose you're going to tell me that you have lost them again. Do you realise that is the second little jacket and pair of shoes you've lost in a fortnight? You shall go straight to bed without any supper. I must say, you don't look too well. I'll give you a dose of chamomile tea. Do try not to stain your aprons. This should set you to rights. Mr. McGregor's garden, indeed. There. Go to sleep now.
Good night, Mama.